Hey there, this is Mr. Icarus, and welcome to yet another edition of Doom Mod Madness. This time around, we're introducing a little bit of lithium into our systems, not because we're chronically depressed, but because it's a rather interesting gameplay mod, one that adds a touch of the cybernetic to the usual proceedings. In terms of enhancements that you'll notice right off the bat, we've got the ability to scope in with certain weapons, such as the pistol here. We've also got a rather fetching head-up display. I'm loving the glowy lines around the armor and vitality there. And we've also got a credit score in the top right-hand corner. This will go up whenever we discover secrets, whenever we kill enemies, and whenever we pick up certain items. Thankfully, it's not just for show. It is something that you can actually spend on various upgrades throughout the course of your playthrough. Interestingly, you'll also get bonus payouts for how you performed in the previous level. So for example, 100% monsters killed, secrets discovered, all that kind of stuff will grant you additional credits to pour into these. And these are your upgrades. You already have a few installed, such as the HUD, the jet booster. You can actually remove these, which is quite interesting. You can add move wetware, which will allow you to jump higher, move faster, and then of course there's also weapon upgrades, such as the auto pistol, which as you can imagine, makes your pistol fully automatic. You can also purchase additional ammunition for rockets and plasma guns, and additional weapons outright here as well, but as you can imagine, some of them will start off rather expensive. You're gonna have to build up those credits over the course of multiple levels. There's also the possibility that you'll just run across these weapons in the wild as well, negating the need to actually purchase them from the shop. After that, it's something where you can just focus on getting the required amount of credits to modify said weapons and make them even deadlier. One such weapon we'll discover right here. This is the Charge Fist, which replaces the standard melee option, which is slashing with a knife, and I can't help but find this a little awkward to use. You gotta kind of charge it up before you land that punch, so you gotta time your approach just right. Thankfully, if you whiff the shot, you can immediately punch afterwards. You do get a second chance. You mercifully don't have to charge it up all over again, but sometimes it is just flat out easier to shoot your enemies in the face. Especially when you're dealing with an upgrade such as the auto pistol here, because as you can see, it just flat out perforates the enemies in my way. Definitely a very wise early game investment. Yeah, the Charge Fist just doesn't quite cut it. Oh, and yeah, by the way, you explode when you die, which is pretty nifty, causing a lot of enemies to die along with you. And then you also get some interesting messages in the top left-hand corner. Often a little bit mocking in tone, and fun fact, if you type in the resurrect command, those messages continue to play and continue to mock you. Another interesting feature you can activate with enough credits here is the ability to see the hit points and name of whatever enemy you are aiming at, which reveals some unusual information for certain enemies. For example, the Pinky that I recently killed here was listed as a Hell Sergeant. Not the name that I'm familiar with, if I'm going to be honest. But in terms of other stuff, we've got the barrier power-up, which we've just picked up here, which deflects any projectiles headed your way. Rather, nullifies them, in fact. So bullets, fireballs, rockets, they're not getting through that barrier, but you got to be careful. This is the kind of thing that doesn't really negate splash damage, so if you're a bit too close with the explosives, you're still gonna take that. What I can't tell, however, is whether the barrier actually nullifies any close-range melee damage from enemies, such as pinkies biting your face off or imps scratching at your eyeballs. But in any case, it's certainly a useful power-up. You should definitely pick it up whenever possible. Now this is where Lithium gets really intriguing for me. Every now and again you're gonna run into these guys. They're basically the mini-bosses of Lithium. I call them like Shadow Doom guys. Reminds me a little bit of Shadow Link out of Zelda. But you're notified whenever one of these guys is present in a level. You can't see how much HP they have. They've got a fully fledged name there for some reason, and when they die, they explode very much like you do. There's a lot of interesting implications behind that, but when they do die, they also drop items such as that. Now, these items are kind of vital to your character progression and the upgrades that you can, in fact, activate, because it's not all about how many credits you have. You can buy the upgrade, but you may not necessarily be able to activate it without certain bits and bobs, such as this, which is the weapon modification device. So, what mods can we add to our current weapons? Well, we can now turn our auto pistol into a plasma pistol. We can also turn our shotgun into a Gauss rifle, which sounds very, very cool to me indeed. I think I'm gonna go ahead and buy and activate that. But let's test out the plasma pistol. Very, very pew-pew laser gun. Not sure that's the satisfaction I'm after. Oh, but that could be good. Yeah, that's definitely a nice upgrade. And I'm feeling like that's gonna deal a little bit more damage than the standard shotgun. And wouldn't you know it, we've got some mancubi to test this out on, and some very handy head-up display HP to test exactly how much damage per shot we're doing. I'm liking very much the rapid-fire nature of the Gauss cannon here. I thought it'd be one of those slow single-shot, charge up, then shoot again type weapons, but no, it lets you pretty much go hell for leather. It's pretty neat. I feel like it's worth showing you guys just how difficult the Shadow Doom guys can be when they're given enough room to move about here, because the last one there was fairly contained. I could hide around the level geometry, but when these guys have a bead on you, they can land a straight shot on you or have enough room to charge at you and stab you in the face, which they do every now and again. They can be mean, motherfuckers. So I hope you understand that by the time I get to the point where I have to type in IDKFA, you'll know that I've thrown down a number of times against this son of a bitch, with a machine gun that fires friggin' lasers nonetheless, and still come up with sweet FA. So how about that extended arsenal then? We've already met the charge fist and the pistol, with its plasma add-on. We haven't met the revolver though. Pretty effective against low-level goons. Shotgun with Gauss, always nice. Super shotgun, always satisfying. Laser shotgun, that's a new one to me. Think we should test that out in live targets. Yep, that kills them good. That's pretty effective. Who'da thunk? Laser shotguns, it's a magical future. We've also got sniper rifles, we've also got the laser add-on for the machine gun, which also fires grenades. We've got this, which fires micro rockets. You've already seen the regular rocket launcher, which also doubles as a grenade launcher, but this I think will fare a little better against his dark malevolence up here, but it can't hurt to get a good vantage point when dealing with rampant douchebags such as that particular enemy. You know what, this is just taking forever. I think I'm gonna have to switch over to something a little higher up the hierarchy. How about, I don't know, something lasery and plasmery. This seems to fit the bill. This has got a fair bit of pew-pew behind it, and it has an interesting alt-fire, which just seems like the laser shotgun sped up a number of degrees. It's certainly peppering him. I don't know if it's killing him. We might need something a bit stronger. How about the classic? That's damn right. The old plasma gun should seal the deal, and it does! Finally! Only took me about 7 bloody tries. As you can imagine, most of these weapons are moddable too, so for the particle beam here, we can replace the ion emitter with an ion accelerator. This one switches out the ion emitter with a condenser, fires strong laser beams, but wait, I don't think it's for this weapon. That's the one it's for. That pretty much looks like a concentrated beam of fuck you if I ever did see one, so let's test it out, shall we? Let's see how quickly— oh, good grief, that is a rapid amount of death happening to my enemies right now. So yeah, this is very much the fun of Lithium, being able to upgrade these already powerful weapons into something even more ridiculous, provided you have the credits and the right parts to mod them, and it is tremendously satisfying when you do so. Also, it's worth bearing in mind that there's a lot of movement-based upgrades that you can indulge in here as well, granting you things such as double jumps, the ability to even stomp on your enemies from height as well, which are things that I haven't really indulged in this run, but just seem like they could be tremendously fun all the same, and it will take you a while. It will take you a while to get through all of the intricacies and the upgrades that are available to you here in Lithium, because even though I've typed in IDKFA, I've still got to go and buy those upgrades. I've still got to have the right parts, and I mean, sure, I could abuse some console commands, but that would rob it of some of the fun, especially going up against those mini-boss Shadow Doom guy type characters. You need to work for your upgrades, damn it. Such as these goofy ones down here, which require reality distortion interfaces, which I'll hopefully come across a little later, but in the meantime, there's always the downgrades, because of course there are. Why would you ever want to play like this? I challenge you to try and complete the game with that turned on. I'm gonna have to have some regular gameplay just to cleanse that from my mind briefly. You may have also noticed another option in the menu there, which is the implicating option, which floods the screen with implying meme text. Thanks for that, Combine Keegan. That's entirely who you need to blame for the inclusion of that in this particular mod. And of course, below the implicating and unts option is the instant death option, because of course, why even live? So earlier while I was fighting Shadow Doom Guy, I realized I didn't have the opportunity to whip out this bad boy. Good grief. As far as ultra weapons go, you know when you usually press that button reserved for the BFG in a mod that does interesting things, you think, right, what have they got for us this time? And as it turns out, it is a big, fat son of a bitch of a weapon that launches exploding cannonballs, bouncing all over the shop, and the alt fire launches an even bigger one. Couldn't ask for anything more, to be perfectly honest. Bravo, Lithium. Bravo. You done good. You done good. And you may have noticed on the menu, I selected an adrenaline injector, which takes 30 seconds to charge after each activation, but whenever a projectile comes near you, it actually freezes the game briefly for a few moments. Well, freezes everything else but you, giving you the chance to maneuver out of the way. So that's another great example of some of the ability upgrades that you can indulge in here. But yeah, thought I'd best show you that before I dive into that other goofy shit in the upgrade menu. So this is where I hit a little bit of a snag, actually. So there's the extras part of this menu, right? And it's got explosions, all of the sevens mode, and steel mode. Now these first two modes, I'm pretty sure they're flat out unattainable. This actually, if you look at the top, costs 72 million to activate. This one costs 74 million something, and actually if you read the effect, instates cosmic horror and spurious time travel into your very being, causing you to instantly implode. So neither of those seem actually tenable. The only one at the moment that you can actually acquire with the reality distortion interface active is steel mode. And what does that do? It gives you a sword. And the sword's the only thing you can use. It's a straight up reference to Demon Steel. I'm sure you'll remember that one. And yeah, you gotta basically hack and slash through your enemies with the sword instead. The sword itself is actually pretty damn friggin' powerful. It cuts through nigh on everything in whatever map you'll be playing. Double quick. Also comes with a charge up ability as well if you hold down the alt fire. But if I'm gonna be honest, I was hoping for a little more from the extras menu here. Then again, there is always the possibility of future updates for mods such as these. You never know, those intriguing sounding extra modes may one day become an actual attainable thing. Hey, maybe they already are and I've just completely missed how you're supposed to activate them. But until then, there is always the rest of Lithium. And oh boy, is there a lot of it to enjoy. Just packed to the gills with weapon upgrades and ability upgrades. And if I had one suggestion, I'd say find yourself a map pack that has a fair number of maps to it. Because Lithium is a little bit of a slow burn. Takes a while to get up to full steam, but once you do, it is a heck of a lot of fun. If you feel like checking it out for yourself, the link is of course in the description below. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Feel free to let me know what you thought in the comments, and feel free to suggest any mods you'd like to see me cover in future episodes of Doom Mod Madness. This has been Mr. Icarus. Thank you very much for watching. Icarus out.